Hey, welcome back to my channel, edtech by Meera. So let's continue with our React journey. And do remember that if you want to fall in love with React, smash that subscribe button below. Okay, so here in this lesson, interesting but very simple, you need to create an app or a component all by yourself. Yeah, but it's quite simple. The task is already provided here. You need to create this component, which is my component, and you need to have a div, you need to have a header, and you need to render. So this component name is my component, and it's supposed to be a class component. So how do you call it? Class my component. How do you declare that? Class my component extends react.component. So this is part of the task already. So you're creating this, in the process of creating that, and after that you also need to include your constructor props as well as super props as mentioned in the task. So within this you mention your constructor props, and then inside that the super props. This you've already done how to do that. If you don't know how to do, you can refer to my previous lessons in this series. Okay, so props, sorry, typo. That is short for properties, which I mentioned earlier. Yeah, and then come out of the constructor, and then you need to create what? A div. But before creating the div, you need to do the div inside the render. You need to render. Yeah, so render, how it's written like this, and then within the render you need to return. So this is the typical steps involved in doing this class component. Class my component. Name is my component, but it's a component, class component you call it. So inside the render you do the return, and within that you need to have open and close div. Yeah, and within the div it's all explained in the question. You just need to follow the instruction. Within that you need to create a h1 tag, and inside the h1 tag, or within the h1 tag, what is the string that you need to mention? My first React component with an exclamation, exactly the way that is provided in the question or the task. My first React component with an exclamation. This is just to see and check if you can follow the instruction, yeah, in React. So that's it. This is within the h1 tag, because this is the one that you can see on your screen, on your UI. Okay, then don't forget all the commas, the colons, and apostrophe or whatever. Okay, so now React DOM, because you need to render in order to see the UI. So React DOM. Now here you don't have any child components, it's just one component. So React DOM.render, and then the arguments that you need to write. The first argument, or the first argument would be the name of the component, which is my component, or the name of the component. In this case it's not an app yet, so just call it a component. So my component, and then comma followed by the second argument, which is document.getElementById. Here in the div, the root has been provided as the target element, or rather the target element is provided as challenge ID. So in order to grab it, or in order to see it on the UI, you need to use document.getElementById. This is typical what you use in order to get the UI on the screen, yeah, from the HTML. So the challenge node is given as the destination, node that you need to use in order to render this component. So document.getElementById in this case is challenge node, because it's already provided in the question. So that's the destination, the destination ID, sorry. And then You see what happens. Check it out. Yeah, it's okay. Your test output. You can see it on the UI. My first React component, you can see it on the screen already. So it's rendering on the screen, in other words. Yeah, so you're successful. This is the simplest of class components that you rendered just now. Congratulations. The next one you'll be doing will be much more complex, and so on and so forth. Yep, you did it. Don't forget to fall in love with React through my lessons. Subscribe. Smash it right now.